peace, reflection. I love myself. And talk about some knowledge of self today in terms of astrology. So, to begin with, we are multi-dimensional beings by nature. So, what I mean by that, just in one example, with your physical body, you occupy up and down, left and right, forward and back, and then in as you breathe in and breathe out. So, that's just different dimensional planes that you occupy in a physical sense. You also have your emotional body that does not behave in that type of manner as a physical body. Okay, so getting into things that are a little less tangible than the physical aspect of yourself. So your astrological being is going to be in that same regard, where you're not connected in terms of like you're touching the sun, in the present time and all that, but you are the sun, you are the moon, your Mercury, all the planets, all that kind of stuff. So to expand on that a little bit, when you are focused, your perspective is only of the physical, then we'll take your entire being as your physical body, okay? But when your perspective is of the physical body, then you're limited to just, we'll give the example of a finger. Okay, so your perspective is that you are this finger, and your role in life is to do this, right? To grasp things and all that kind of stuff. So as you start to dig deep into knowledge of self, you'll understand that, okay, my finger's connected to my hand, I got these other fingers inside of my finger, I have these muscles, blood's flowing through, we got nerves, bones, all that kind of stuff. So that's getting deeper into the different dimensional planes that you exist upon, and understanding that you're a multi-dimensional being and not just this little finger right here. Okay, so just an example of perspective and everything. So when you start to plug into the astrological energy, then you're tuning into like the nervous system and the signals that are sent from your mind through your spinal cord and through your nerves to tell your finger to do this. Okay, so that is your astrological energy. Your astrological energy is what is your response to a given situation, to different energies that you're going to come across. Okay, and with this, each of us have our own astrological energy that is programmed into us so that we can learn the lessons that we need to learn within this incarnation. And if we don't learn those lessons in this life, then we will come back and learn those lessons again. And if you don't get it that time, then it's just you keep repeating that cycle. Okay, so astrological energies can be very diverse. It's a very in-depth study. I'm not even that masterful of understanding very specific degrees and all that kind of stuff, but I'm gonna give you, at least if you're new to this, some knowledge and wisdom that you can apply to your life, that you'll start to tune in some more. Okay, so you have your sun sign. Most people know their sun sign, and for a long time that's all until 2-3 years ago, if that even, probably like a year and a half ago, that was my awareness. I was like, oh, I'm a Leo, I'm on a Virgo cusp, and that's my astrological energy. I wasn't aware that when I was born, the moon was in a particular position, Mercury was in a particular position, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron, all these, Chiron's one of the largest asteroids in our solar system, okay, and that's going to carry specific energies that you will carry out in your life, that you will act upon. Okay, so when how I'm a Leo Virgo cusp. My birthday is August 21st, so I'm right at that cusp. And so, same thing with your other planets. Like, for an example, my Mercury is in Virgo. So, when I was born, Mercury was transiting the constellation of Virgo. So I carry that quality of energy of Mercury in me. Okay? And so each of these planets carry their own qualities with them. And there's ruling planets for each sign. So for an example, Leo's the ruling planet of the sun. The moon would be Cancer. Mercury's Virgo. You got Venus and Taurus. Aries and Mars. Saturn, Capricorn. Jupiter's Sagittarius. Uranus, Aquarius. Neptune, Pisces. Pluto is Scorpio. Okay? And there's some that are doubled up. I think Libra might be. I'm not gonna put it out there because I'm not 100% on it, but you can look into it. Okay, so when you're born, these planets are in different positions, and you chose those positions depending on your previous life, what you have been doing in previous incarnations that you've been going through. And so when you have been doing very righteous things in your life, then you're going to have more harmonious relationships with the planets. Okay, and what I mean by that is they are positioned in such a manner that the energy moves between them very efficiently. Okay, so in astrological terms, this can be a conjunction, this can be a trine. A trine is the most harmonious relationship that you can have between planets. Sextiles is very harmonious, and then less harmonious, and these are major aspects. There's minor aspects as well. So aspects are the relationships between planets, the geometrical relationships. So less harmonious ones would be oppositions, squares, things of that nature. So when you come across those less harmonious aspects, that is where when you are moving through this reality that we're in, those are the things that are gonna give you a little more trouble in your life, and they're giving you trouble so you can understand yourself more, love yourself more, and grow out of lessons that are presenting themselves. So when you have very harmonious aspects, relationships between planets, those are things that you are good at. It might be the way that you communicate, it might be the way that you create things, it might be you're really good with relationships, you're really good with your emotions, you're really good with career type stuff, you're really good at diving into the unknown, you're really good at expanding and growing as a spiritual being. Okay? So all of these are going to come into play with the different planets, and the way that I have been tuning into it too, this reflected light from Master Teacher Nature Boy, is that this is your astrological energy is how you bend the light and thought within your mind. So going back to Hermetic principles, definitely look into that. Two different ones that we'll really touch on right now is the first principle is that all is mental. Everything is mental. You're projecting your reality from your mind. So as you start to understand that, and the sun is your mind, the sun is your sense of self, the sun is your divinity. So where your sun's at, that's the source of light that is being projected through your mind. So that's very key to understand. And then the other one that we're going to talk about is the principle, in terms of the Hermetic principles, is the principle of correspondence. Okay, so this is as above, up in the stars, so below within your body, and so below within your being, as above up in the stars. And you can, and this is just in terms of astrology, but these are principles through life. Okay, so with that, the way that you bend the light, the and just like, this is the truth. You know, you're going to perceive the truth a lot better. That's what I'm trying to say. You can perceive the truth a lot better when you have very good aspects. When you don't have good aspects, that's when you get those like distorted mirrors, and it's like, you know, like you're looking all like your head's tiny and your body's huge, or your body's tiny and your head's huge, or you're just like, you know, like a little like squiggly thing going on, you know? It's like, what the heck? Like, I know that's not me. But that's how you perceive yourself, because your energy's like that. And your energy's like that because you need it to be like that, so that you can learn the lessons that you need to learn and grow through the experiences that you need to go through. And then getting deeper into the into your chart. So look up your natal chart. What you're going to need to do is look into, you need to know your birth time, you need to know your birthplace. Okay, these are essential. And then with that, then you can go on to Google, type in natal chart, you know, find a link that you're like, okay, this is it, like this is the, I feel this is the site that I need to go to that one, and then look into it. You know, type in your information. It's going to be an overwhelming amount of information to begin with, so just digest it little by little. What I would recommend is first understanding, you know, if you don't even know where your sun's at, know where your sun's at. And then from there, know where all your planets are at in terms of the signs that they're in. Okay, and then from there you have your houses. Your houses are like different, because again, we're multi-dimensional beings. So within your natal chart, that's going to be represented in it. So each house is a different dimensional plane that can reflect even your planets. Okay, so so the houses I kind of skipped, and I am right now kind of filling in on right now myself, getting to understand it a little bit more, and like what each house represents and all that. So what really caught my attention was the aspects, because I really like geometry. So the aspects, what I would recommend is having the aspects after the houses, personally, because the houses give you a greater clue into. So for an example, I'll give you an example. If you have like my and I see it hardcore, my son is in the 12th house. So this is like service to others and things of that nature. So it can always be harmonious or less harmonious. So you can have a very harmonious relationship with it, and carry the sun, which is your sense of self. And so your sense of self would be, when you're harmonious with your sun, is that you are the sun, you're everything. You're your neighbor, you're your brother, your sister, you're the trees outside, the air you breathe, all that kind of stuff. That's when you're very harmonious with your sun. So in that, then you can tune in more with how you want to serve yourself, meaning everything. And so when I was younger, I was pretty harmonious in the sense that like I had a good sense of self. Like I knew that I was everything, but my approach to it was a little less harmonious, and that's again like the very multidimensional aspect play to it. Okay, like I was dude, just like go go go. I felt like I had to change everything, and I felt like I had to change everything and like get stuff done, and I was like kind of in your face about stuff that I felt needed to be addressed to make a change happen on this plane. And part of that, again, it's super complex, but part of that is that my sun squares my Mars, and your Mars is a lot about your drive and accomplishing things, and like getting stuff done. So squares again are a little less harmonious, so I would get super frustrated with the like I wanted stuff to like happen like now, like it needs to happen now. Like that's where my mind was at. Like we need to do this now. I need to fulfill my life purpose right now. I wasn't patient, and that's a huge lesson that I'm going through right now, is being patient and being okay with the flow of life and all that kind of stuff. So when you're looking at your chart, it's going to be an immense amount of information. If I were to really break down hardcore astrological aspects and energies and all that, like this would be a 5-day video. Like there's no way I could even come close to scratching the surface within even this video. So with that, just little by little, digest what you can, find out where your planets are at, look at the houses from there, understand what planets are in which house, okay? And then even you might want to understand which houses don't even have planets in them, okay? And that can be a huge factor, okay? Because if you don't have planets in a house and that house is carrying a specific quality, then you don't have the planetary energy in it. So then it's like a very stagnant energy within that house. It doesn't have any movement, doesn't have any extra oomph to get things going. So understanding that kind of stuff, and then again breaking it down even further into the aspects. And the aspects are, because then it's like what sign is the planet in, what house is the planet in, and then what aspect does that planet have. And so when you have a bigger perspective of it, then you can start to look at your life and see, feel where that energy comes into play. How you bend the light. How if a circumstance comes into your life, like we'll go back to my sun and my Mars. Okay, this is just one example. You're gonna have your own things going on, but my sun and my Mars, I was getting tested with that all the time, and I wasn't aware that I was getting tested with it until like a year and a half ago. Okay, so like I would have circumstances that would, like a lot of times I wasn't appreciating the stuff that I was getting down, because it was like I needed to go. Like there's no time to wait. Like we need to get this done right now. Like why isn't this happening? and I wasn't appreciating the things that I had a whole trail of stuff that I had accomplished, but I wasn't acknowledging it because I was just so focused on like why aren't we getting further with this? So, so in that, I would get tested all the time. Like I had all this accomplished things I had accomplished in my life. I wasn't appreciating them, and then things would come into play where it was things that were like on my path of like, you know, like I know I'm here to teach. I know I'm here to help shift the energy on this planet. Like I know it. Like there's been so many things I've gone through in my life that's is just like, duh, a duh, dude. Like that's what you're here to do, man. Come on. So I'd have situations that would come into play where like a person would come in and they would present an obstacle for me where they weren't getting my message, and either they would initiate a conversation with me that would just take me down a notch because I would be like, we would just fight or argue in like not a healthy manner, or they would just like kind of like talk down on what I was doing, you know, and all that was my lesson on how to wisely use my energy and how to be patient with the person. If they're not getting it right away, it's okay. Give them time, no worries. You know, the best example or best way to help somebody is to live a life in which you want them to live. And that's like, that has been what I've gotten from the lessons, is that it's not so much like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, blah 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 blah. Don't even worry about that kind of stuff. Just be the example, live the life, you know, and then people are gonna look at you and be like, oh, okay, like I get it, like he's doing what he's got to do, and like I see him transforming, I see him growing, or her, you know, and then that's gonna help shift them a lot more. Okay, and so yeah, so these people and situations, places, all that kind of stuff would come into play where it would test me and my patience on switching things up. And right now, as we're speaking, we got Jupiter just went station direct, so that's nice. But we got Saturn, we got Pluto, I think Mars. No, I don't think Mars is it. I don't know, but Saturn and Pluto I know for sure are retrograde. Neptune might even be retrograde right now. So retrograde usually kind of halts things for a little bit, makes you really process what's going on. So yeah, so I'm like really just, you know, it's all good. I got a trip coming up, and some of the details haven't really fallen into place, and I know that they're gonna fall into place right on time, right when they're supposed to. So I'm just, you know, I'm being patient and letting life set the example, and it's gonna come in at the right time. Just like those people are gonna look at your life, they're gonna perceive it, and they're gonna get it right on time. And it might not even be this lifetime, but you shining your light, reflecting light to them in a harmonious manner, is giving them the opportunity to have a higher perspective template laid over them so that they can access that when they are ready. Again, it might not be this lifetime, and that's cool. So that's just like kind of personal stuff that I've been going through, and you may see that in your chart. You might be like, oh shoot, yeah, like my Venus and my moon square each other. Okay, so that can be things where like your moon's emotions, your Venus is about relationships. So you might have a harder time expressing your relationships, you're expressing your emotions within relationships, or get frustrated with your partner when they don't want to express it. Okay? And then it's like, well, where's your moon at? Where's your Venus at? What house are they in? Right? Like it's a lot of information. Um, so yeah, so I've been really tuning into. At first, I was like, oh, well, I wanna know where my harmonious relationships are at. So I was looking at like my trines and sextiles and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like I've always been good at this kind of stuff. Like, I always have been, which is good to look at it in that manner. Like you wanna appreciate what you're good at and what you've been doing in your life and all of that. Like you have to do that. And I've switched gears into really working with the squares and oppositions that I have in my chart. And since I've been doing that, then I've noticed that the uh, the rate at which I am ascending has been growing a lot more, because the trines and things that you're good at, like that's just, it's gonna continue to happen. Like you're good at that stuff. Okay, so appreciate it and acknowledge what you're good at. But if you really want to ascend past this reality, then you need to learn. You need to look at the lessons in your chart. Like where are the less harmonious aspects in your chart, so that you can overcome those obstacles. And when they come into play, and it's like, okay, like I know, for like going back to that Venus and Moon square, okay, that with that, then you know that when you're in and it doesn't have to be an intimate relationship either, okay? This can be a relationship of a friend, a relationship of a sibling, mother, father, all that kind of stuff. You know that when there's a relationship that comes in and emotions come in, that you need to be patient with how you express them, with how you receive them, all that kind of stuff. And as you become more patient and you listen, you absorb it all, maybe you need to feel the relationships more, then that is going to expand your sense of self. Okay, the obstacle is going to come in, and that person is going to present you like they don't express their emotions well to you. So they're gonna come in and they're gonna say something very blunt, or they're not gonna communicate it at all. Okay, and then it's gonna be up to you and your response on how well you overcome the obstacle. You try to go around it and you get like halfway around and you're like, well, I'm just gonna go back to my old ways. Or like you're moving through it and you're getting through and you're like, I'm tired of doing this, I'm just gonna go back to my old ways. And if you do that, if you take that route, then again you're gonna log back into this reality with the same lessons you have in this moment. So I highly encourage you, if you notice that you have those aspects, to really, really, really work on them day to day, breath to breath. Be as present as you can for this kind of stuff, because it's happening right now. Okay, and then with that, we'll just continue on with relationships too, because relationships is huge. Your relationship to yourself, your relationship to the earth, your relationship to the divine, relationship with other people. This is all happening right now. So tuning into that is very important. And when we'll go with a person-to-person relationship, especially if you are looking to be more of an intimate relationship, you definitely need to know their chart. You for sure need to know their chart. And because you might see things in there that you're like, whoa, yeah, I don't want to be in a relationship with that person, because they're just going to bog me down with all of their aspects, right? They might have so many lessons that they're going through that's like, I don't want to go along the ride of learning all of your lessons, because I've already mastered most of those lessons, and I'm moving on to higher energies, higher frequencies, and higher lessons that I need to tune into, and I need to have a partner that's gonna reflect the same type of lessons, or it doesn't have to be the exact same, but same quality of lessons. Okay. And another thing that can come into play too is, again, bending light. Think about just like a metaphor to think on, where the Egyptians or whatever would take the sun and then have mirrors and then reflect the sunlight off a mirror to another mirror down into a temple, and like reflect it all around and light up the temple that way, right? So our mind is bending the light, creating trines, creating squares, all that kind of stuff. It's bending light for you to project this reality and experience it. Okay? So when you're getting into a relationship, you're creating a union. Okay? So in that union, then they might have aspects, they might have somewhat of a harmonious aspect, your general chart, to themselves, but there might be things within their chart where they take the light, and instead of sharing a temple, they try to take the light that you're pulling in and siphon it off and bend it in a different direction into a different area, into an area that they want light to be shined upon. But you're like, yo, I thought we were, lighting up this huge temple that we were building together, but you're bending the light over that way, like, what is that about? So pay attention to it, get in tune with that, and when you're tuned in, and some people, if you're not into the astrology, you haven't made it this far. This is point blank. But B, it might take you, I think the camera just got a little overheated there, but yeah, so like I was saying, it might take you a little while to really tune into your chart, and you might be how can I put it? Okay, you might have less harmonious aspects in your chart that prevent you from truly understanding who you are in that sense. Okay, so, and it might your ability to tap into the unknown, the unknown and mystical side of life and all of that. You might have aspects in your chart that don't allow you to really dig deep into that side of yourself. So if you have a very hard time comprehending it, or right away you notice as you're looking into it, and you read something like, oh, like this plan in this position in this house and all that, like this means that you can't perceive the mysteries of life, then search out somebody that is very efficient at breaking down that stuff, and allow them to reflect the light to you in a manner that makes more sense to you. Okay, because it's essential if you are looking to ascend from this plane, if you're looking to graduate this earth realm, then you need to know yourself. You need to understand these deeper workings at hand. Okay, and yeah, if that's the case, again, trust what you feel, and find somebody that feels like the right person to really work with, and open this side of yourself up for you. Okay, and that's for the most part all I got going on right now. One more thing that I'll kind of tap into real quick, and is, so you have your natal chart, and then you have what is, so your natal chart is like boom, you came out of the womb, you logged into this reality, and that is where the planets were at when you were born. Okay, so that's your natal chart. But then the planets are also moving in this present time. So in the present time, your Mercury, for an example, Mercury is a very fast moving planet, so that's very much a personal planet, where like the outer planets like Neptune, for an example, is more generational, where it takes a much longer time to make its transit, so it covers more of a generation rather than just you, okay? But where Mercury is at right now is going to be more than likely different than where it was when you were born. So when your Mercury it can make harmonious relationships with your Mercury, or it can make less harmonious relationships with your Mercury. Your Mercury is about communication. So in the present time, if the Mercury is making a very harmonious relationship with your own Mercury, then you'll have a much greater ability to articulate yourself. If it's not, then you're going to have a harder time expressing yourself in that manner. Okay? So it's very important not to just only know your natal chart, but to know what is going on presently. Okay? And that's like when you look at ancient sites, stone structures and stuff like that, they knew this, and they were lining those up to very specific stars, or the equinoxes, or solstices, or different planets, all that kind of stuff. It was extremely important to them, because they understood as above, so below, as below, so above. So when you are in tune and in rhythm with that, then again, that's when you start to graduate this realm. That's when you start to ascend past just this physical existence. This we're spiritual beings, and when you tune into your astrological energy, then it gets you more in touch with your spiritual self, and it'll give you much more guidance along the true path that you are meant to walk in this life. Okay? And the more that you tune into it, then in other lifetimes, lifetimes to come, then you are gonna have a much more harmonious relationship with life, and not have so many hang-ups. Doesn't mean that it's gonna be a smooth road, and it's never a smooth road. There's always gonna be bumps, twists and turns, crazy hairpin turns that you're like, what the heck, like, why, what is this about, but that's just what makes life interesting. So yeah, keep tuning into your astrology. Know yourself. You gotta know yourself, and knowledge of self is the highest form of knowledge. Knowledge is power. So when you know yourself, you are an extremely powerful being, and you can manifest anything that you wish, create anything that you wish in this life, in this realm. Okay? So yeah, other than that, keep doing your work day to day, breath to breath, step by step. Be patient with yourself. No rush, we got eternity. And yeah, keep tuning in. Peace.